Rohit, if you could shed light on just the basics of EB-5, the investment amount, and so on.
Thanks, Abhi. Okay. So EB-5, EB stands for employment based. Let's get that out of the way. There's no mystery over there. The EB-5 visa is essentially intended to get you a green card upon creation of jobs. It's not a write me a check, give me a green card story, which some people think it is. It is not the sale of a green card. It always bothers me when people say, oh, the green cards are being sold. They're not being sold. You investors are actually contributing money, creating economic benefits through job creation, and that's how you're getting your green card.
Thank you. So EB-5 is an investor visa, and it requires an investment of $800,000 in targeted employment areas, $1,050,000 in non-TEA or non-targeted employment areas, and the investment should result in creation of 10 new American jobs. That's a very important aspect of EB-5, and the funds that the investors are investing, the source of funds needs to be properly documented. And I'd like to discuss every aspect of that statement now. So, Bannon, I'll first come to you on this. And can you explain to the audience here the investment amount, the investment requirement, and also how the jobs are created in EB-5?
Yeah, so, Congress, the original intent of the EB-5 law from 1990 was to drive EB-5 investment toward rural areas. That as an legislative objective, that pretty much failed. In pre-Reform and Integrity Act, you saw a lot of, hotel projects on West 57th Street in Manhattan and other downtown Los Angeles, not in rural areas. So Congress, when they drafted and enacted the Reform and Integrity Act, said, okay, let's try to address that. So we'll keep the traditional high unemployment TEA designation. That still exists. But now we're going to create this so-called rural set-aside. And we're going to mandate that U.S. immigration process these, people who invest in rural areas much quicker. Spoiler alert, rural investing, USCIS processes rural petitions somewhat faster, but in most cases not appreciably faster. But nevertheless, Reform and Integrity Act is working in driving investment toward rural areas. But, nevertheless, whether it's 800,000 in rural high unemployment or infrastructure or 1,050,000 outside of those. But let's face it, it's like, you're driving down the road. There's two gas stations. I'm in California, so, gas is expensive here. So if one gas station is $4 a gallon and the one next to it's $5 a gallon, which one do you stop at? Of course, the one that's $4 a gallon. It's the same concept with EB-5. And for that, I'll just mention before I hand it off to Niral, the two critical pillars of any successful EB-5 are the following. Number one, does the project you select ultimately create the jobs? And number two, can you show whether you're investing 800,000 or 1,050,000? Can you show that that's coming from what we call lawful source of funds? So project that creates jobs, number one, and documenting lawful source of funds, number two. Those are the pillars of any successful EB-5 initiative.
Thanks,
Yeah,
Brandon.
and building off of that, and I think maybe Abhi, you might disagree with me here, but I think it's the source of funds is what it really comes down to. I think when you're working with a quality project that has a good track record, that we know is already under construction, fully financed, it has all these things in place that each of us have seen be successful, it gets kind of easy to pick a project. But it's always the source of funds, like you said, is what arguably takes the most amount of time. And right now, I think we see lots of issues pop up, especially with people trying to gather their funds, as lawyers, as practitioners, us trying to track each and every. It feels like we shouldn't have to track each and every dollar, but we find ourselves tracking each and every dollar of that 800,000. And so it's important to work with your attorneys, identify your funding sources, your strategies, and finding the best path forward where you can document that $800,000 the best.